Ever since the very first installment, the Mario Kart games have had good tracks and bad tracks, and Mario Kart World is no exception to this. It has some major bangers that utilize this game's mechanics to the fullest and are overall extremely fun to play, but it also has some absolute stinkers that feature the worst mechanics this game has to offer and have other varying design problems. And of course, there are tracks at every level in between. But which ones are the best ones? And which ones are the previously mentioned stinkers? That's what we're going to be going over today. We're going to be ranking them from worst to best, in my humble opinion, of course. I'm a person that likes to play this game competitively, whether it's Mogi Lounge, the competitive ladder of this game, or by time trialing. I'm going to be coming at these tracks from that kind of angle, judging them mainly by their shortcuts and how satisfying they are to drive, with item play and visuals being more secondary factors. Although like every track in this game is really pretty, so they're all fairly equal in that regard. If you agree with me, like and subscribe. If you disagree with me, also like and subscribe. I'm trying to get to 500 right now, so I'd really appreciate it. Feel free to comment if you think I'm absolutely wrong about something. Alright, with that out of the way, let's get into it. Alright, so the worst track in the game is Dandelion Depths. Literally the only thing it has going for it is that the bitty buds are cute. Boring, boring, boring. Boring spiral at the beginning, boring water section in the cave, boring boost panels leading out of the cave, and boring ending cut that is annoyingly large. No cool shortcuts and extremely minimal tech. F tier. Coming in at number 29 is none other than Choco Mountain. It has no cool cuts, no exciting finishes because you go off these big ass jumps and fall for like 300 million years and it's just not satisfying. And the charging chucks and boulders are actually so annoying. You go so slow on this section where it keeps switching from light off road to regular road and it annoys me every time. Literal poop design. F tier. At number 28, we got Peach Beach. So I can't really say that Peach Beach is worse than its previous versions, but it's just such a nothing burger track. There is no cool tech, and sometimes I'll say that when I really mean there's just no cool tech that I know how to pull off or is feasible in an online race, but there's not even any cool tech in the world record. There's so much potential for cool stuff when you're going through the castle, but it's actually just faster to drive the track extremely normally. It's even faster just to glide all the way down here instead of doing some swagalicious route off the walls. And the ending is literally just the widest expanse of water known to man with a very small cut to break it up. And for all these reasons, it's getting a D tier. A lot of potential, but just not executed well. Alright, let's get ready for some Peak! Except it's just Starview Peak, and it's actually pretty bad. Starview Peak is going to be coming in at number 27. You know it's not a good track when your favorite part about it is the visuals. It's so pretty and visually appealing, but just so boring to play. Super wide the entire time, long all water section, and the off-road cut is the only somewhat cool tech, but that does not do enough to make me like this track. It's going to sit comfortably in D tier. Now, number 26 is a bit of an unfortunate one. I might get some hate for this, so I'm sorry in advance, but I'm gonna have to do it. Rainbow Road. I mean, come on, dude. Like, can you even blame me? Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I've gotten so many cool screenshots of this track, and it's so dramatic when it introduces you to each section, with the way you glide in or the music being extremely grand or both. It was very awesome on my first experience, but that does not mean it's fun to drive. It takes like 4.5 minutes at the minimum to play, and there's a lot of tech, but most of it is super hard and closer to the end, so especially if I'm in time trials, there is no way I'm trying to go for that hard strat 3.5 minutes into the track, failing it, and then having to get another pace to get to that section, and then probably failing it again. So I think this track is extremely boring to play, and I'm gonna have to put it in D tier. Maybe I'll come to like it more once I've learned more of the tech, but again, I don't want to have to lose a pacer so late into the run. And also, you can't practice stuff in free roam, which makes it just a little bit extra annoying. I'm sorry, Rainbow Road fans, but I just do not like this track. Okay, so the theming is the best part about Moo Moo Meadows. This track is very mid, and I can't even be nostalgia blind because it was also mid in Mario Kart Wii. It has some interesting tech at least, like where you can bounce off the cow, which is really creative. Here where you get the charge jump to skip the turn, and here where you can use the feather, always a fan of feather cuts, to save a little time. I haven't bothered to learn any of these cuts yet though, since the track is still mid, C tier. The first C tier though, we're getting better at least. Peach Stadium is number 24, and it's just kind of boring to be honest. It doesn't even have anything wrong with it per se, but there isn't anything about it that makes me excited to play it. It's wide and there aren't many shortcuts, although the feather cut is pretty cool. Other than that, it's alright, but it's still getting a C tier. I really can't put it any higher. I'm never excited to play it when it comes up. Okay, so Koopa Troopa Beach has somehow made it this far, and it's honestly not my least favorite. If it was longer, it would be much more boring to play, but it's over so quickly that I don't really mind it. It's kind of fun to run, even if there's basically no tech to it, and you could probably hold one drift for an entire lap, but still. It's pretty balanced, and the theming is very cool, so it's getting a high C tier. It's good considering it's a flat 5-lapper. Next up at number 22, we got the starter course Mario Bros Circuit. This track does quite well as a starter course, introducing people to the rail tech, and they throw in a glider ramp as well to give you a taste of what those are like. There is enough tech in this to keep it pretty interesting, whether that's with the rails near the beginning, the charge jump shroom cut, or both the feather cuts. It also has the weird ass charge jump and bounce out the sign to get over the tire cut, which adds to the track's skill ceiling, I guess. Unfortunately though, this track is still pretty boring and not one that I'd ever be picking by my own decision, so we're gonna have to give this one a C tier. Not bad, but not one that I personally enjoy. Alright, we are now shifting to tracks that I would actually pick in an online race and could have a lot of fun in time trials with, and at number 21, we got Crown City. This one honestly has a lot going on, being different on all 3 laps and literally just being a big road with all the random cars on it. This one's still a little bit boring to be honest, but I wouldn't say I don't enjoy playing it. It has some parts that are fun to drive, and I think that having the dash food being able to be grabbed at the beginning of the track is pretty cool. It's not the greatest one, but it's not the worst one either. It's gonna get the honor of the first B tier on this list. At number 20, we got Cheep Cheep Falls, an extremely water-centric track. I still find this one not the most fun to drive with all the weird water consistency changes near the end, but I do like the difficult tech this course has to offer. The Tarzan cut is a very iconic one, and one that I've been trying to get good at for a while. It's extremely satisfying to pull off and just straight up looks awesome from a spectator angle. For the ending trimless though, I haven't even tried it yet, but it looks feasible to get without a whole lot of practice. I do think that there is a good balance of shroom and shroomless cuts as well on this track, so it doesn't make front running too OP, but it doesn't reward bagging all that much either. So not the most fun track to drive, but very balanced, so I'm gonna put it in low B tier. Boost Cinema is another middle of the road type of track. Nothing bad about it, but nothing cool about it either besides the theming. I'm never particularly excited to play it, but I will tolerate it, and that's really all I have to say. It's getting a B tier. Pretty unremarkable, but I can't bring myself to hate on it. Mario Circuit is up next at number 18, and honestly, I don't hate this one too much. Besides the fact that I always seem to get destroyed at the very end and passed by literally everybody. It's a pretty enjoyable track to play and a fun spin on the Mario Circuits, so it's not repetitive like most short luck tracks are. There's also a surprising amount of tech in this one, despite the fact that it's completely flat, since you're able to charge jump onto the short walls and cut some turns off. It makes the track a lot more interesting and heightens the skill curve. So overall, one of the better luck tracks in the franchise, and it's getting a B tier. Alright, Desert Hills. So first off, this one is a huge upgrade from the Wii version. That track was too windy and too hilly, and I don't care if it's in the name, those hills were just not satisfying to drive over. Now the cuts in the new version are very challenging but rewarding, and there's so many different ways to take them. There's the 2 shroom version, the 1 shroom version, and the shroomless cuts, which make this track much easier to play from the front. Other than the ending though, the rest of the track is pretty much unremarkable unless you count the Moai dudes that charge at you on lap 3, so it's getting a B tier. Okay, so Airship Fortress is very fun to drive for about 15 seconds. The rail stuff at the beginning is actually quite fun and can be very rewarding if you do it all optimally, but once you get past that into the inside part, it's just whatever. These fire bars are honestly just pretty annoying and don't really add anything to the track. And then the glider part and the long ass spiral with the busted bill extension is not my favorite to play. I do like the ending cut though, and there are multiple ways to pull it off. It makes the feather actually useful, which always gives me a little joy. Overall, it's a pretty fun track to play, so I'm putting it in B tier. Representing the halfway mark at number 15, we have Dino Jungle. I kind of have a love-hate relationship with these dinosaurs since it's very cool you can drive and trick off of them, but sometimes they're just so perfectly in the way and are annoying to play around, especially in time trials. I got pace blocked by the T-Rex on lap 3, which was really annoying, and then once I got fast enough to beat it and learned how to play around it, I started getting pace blocked by that Triceratops on the start of lap 2. It is just perfectly in the way and annoying to deal with. Besides that though, this track is really fun to drive, although the shroom cut is just a little too large and is way too punishing for racers that don't have any speed or power items. So it's getting a B tier. Pretty fun in time trials, but not quite as fun online. I still think the dinosaurs are cool though. Dry Bones Burnout is next up for number 14. This one has a lot of cool and satisfying tech you can pull off, which makes it a very fun time trialer. I do think the ending is a little too rewarding for shrooms because I swear every time I get passed by so many people right at the end, or I just can't catch up if I'm in the back. But still, this track has a very deep bag in terms of cuts. There are a whole lot you can take and multiple ways to take them, which is always really cool. And to top it off, the theming is very nice. It's getting a high B tier. Next up at number 13 is Wario Shipyard. This one is a bit of an interesting one since it has some really awesome parts but also major shortcomings, and by shortcomings I mean one singular shortcoming that is the water physics. They're just not that fun. I like the idea that it's stormy and the water is jumping around and all that stuff, but the physics are just too janky and there aren't enough cuts to keep you off the water like some other tracks we might be getting to later. I do really like the cuts that exist though. The one at the start where you trick off the tree and immediately off the wall to take the turn super tight is really cool and kind of seems like it was actually intended by Nintendo, because this tree is just a little too conspicuously placed. The other charge jump onto the rail into the shrimp cut is another satisfying one, although the water can be really annoying and kill your jump, which feels really janky and hard to deal with. But the more I've tried it, the more I'm getting better at being able to play around it, so it's not too bad. There are a lot of cool ways to take this as well, so it makes it fun to practice, even if it's a lot janky. With all that said, we're gonna put it in B tier. Very fun tech, but the water makes it very annoying. At number 12, we got Faraway Oasis, which pisses me off sometimes because of how much you need shrooms or other power items at the end if you're in the mid-pack. If you're in first though, it usually isn't a problem and you cannot worry and just go for all the shroomless strats, which are very fun to do. Plus if you get a feather, you can take the ending cut without a shroom, so that's nice. About the water, I don't think there's too much of it, and the only time I find it annoying is the waterfall section, where you'll fall off the track when you get hit if you're close to the edge like at all. It feels way too punishing. So this track is going to be going in B tier. Pretty enjoyable, but has a few flaws. At number 11, Toad's Factory is quite good considering it's basically a glorified rectangle with a small intestine. Every section is kept fairly fresh, whether it's the stompers at the beginning, the moving item boxes on the conveyors, and the ending cut. The ending streamless is a lot of fun and makes the track a more worthy adaptation in this game since it's a very good use of rail tech. It's also slightly different depending on the lap due to the moving tractors as well, so that keeps it pretty fresh. So I'm going to be putting this in high B tier. A solid track all around, but nothing too crazy that makes me all that excited to play it. Alright, we are in the top 10. These are all tracks that I'm always picking online and have spent quite a bit of time with on time trials. Although there actually is one track that I'm not always going to be picking online, and that is DK Spaceport. This one is absolutely carried by time trials. I love TTing this track. It is so much fun to drive and has very satisfying cuts, but that's about where the good parts end. Once you play it online, you start to realize the flaws with this course. It's not very fun to run because of all the shroom cuts, and there's no shroomless cuts for basically the entire track. The fire snakes are really annoying, and the endings are actually some of the stupidest sequences on planet Earth. Why did they make the barrels this big? Why did they make the finish so tight? Why does TK bounce you here? I never can react in time to get a trick. The shock also decides just a little too much about the outcome, so it kind of boils down to being a luck track. After all that said though, I'm still gonna put this in B tier, just because it's one of my all-time favorites of time trial. Gotta give credit where credit's due. So at number 9, Wario Stadium is literally just one big shortcut. You're constantly trying to pull off quite difficult tech that is extremely rewarding and can sometimes not be very punishing to fail, but other times it sends you straight to the back of the pack and ruins your race. The track is a little too driving centric, which is fun for time trials, but not quite as much for online. For that reason, it makes the track not my absolute favorite, but it still leads to exciting finishes and keeps the game interesting. So for that, it's getting an A tier, the first A tier on this list. At number 8, we got Salty Speedway. This is a track that I used to not enjoy very much, but now I really enjoy it because I actually know most of the shortcuts and can front run it pretty cleanly. It's a really satisfying course to get down since you can avoid the water most of the time by doing all the tech, which is something that Wario Shipyard just doesn't quite pull off. The ending cut is pretty cool as well, since there's so many ways to do it and you can get rewarded just by hanging back behind other people with shrooms, so it's pretty goofy. It leads to close finishes and is quite memorable. For all that, I'm putting this track in A tier. Okay, so Shy Guy Bazaar is another kind of track where it's super satisfying to pull off all the strats and shortcuts, and the beginning is always really funny. You got like 9 people trying to get onto the rail at once, and I think I've made it on successfully a total of 1 time. There are also a lot of ways to drive the beginning part, letting you decide exactly how much you want to risk in order to run or get up to the front. Overall, lots of fun tech on this track, and nothing really wrong with it, so I'm giving it an A tier. Acorn Heights is coming in at number 6, and it's another one I really love. It's not the most exciting at the beginning, but everything after the glider is really cool. There are so many ways to drive it, even if a lot of the routes are just way slower, but having the option is at least kind of cool. The dirt cut has a million ways to take it too, whether you're taking it with a shroom, taking it with a shroom but getting an item box, taking it with a feather, taking it shroomless, or taking it shroomless with the other method. It's so crazy how many ways there are. I also really like the ending bind strats. It can be really goofy and chaotic with everyone trying to get on them at once, and while it can be infuriating sometimes, it still leads to exciting and memorable finishes that really define this game well. The theming is also so goated, and that always helps with its enjoyability. I do think that everything overall is not the most satisfying to drive compared to other tracks higher on this list though, so it's just barely not getting an S tier, but it's still one of my favorites and I still really like playing it. Alright, we have 5 courses left. These are all going to be S tiers in my book and maybe some of yours. See if you can predict which order I put them in. Alright, let's get into this top 5. First up is going to be none other than Bowser's Castle. This is a hype-ass track. The beginning cut alone makes it hella iconic and interesting right at the start. There are multiple ways to do it, ranging from fairly challenging to extremely difficult if you're trying to take it the fastest way. The skill ceiling for this shortcut alone is just crazy. It also makes use of the feather since that's the easiest way to take it, and it's not really any slower either. And then the rest of this track is also an absolutely wild ride, with the next shroomless cut having such a high risk versus reward ratio, and not to mention the glider section before that where you can absolutely ruin people's lives. Then there's a shroom cut immediately after, which can save a ton of time, plus that really weird shroomless method that I don't think anyone is going for online, but it still does exist. And to top it off, you got all the split paths with the fireballs raining down on you with weirdly ungenerous hitboxes. All of this makes for an insane experience, and whether your race gets ruined or you clutch up and get a nasty front run, this track is extremely memorable. It's getting an S tier. Alright, at the number 4 spot is Great Question Block Ruins. This track is quite possibly the most fun one to drive in the whole game, right up there with DK Pass. Pair that with the awesome theming, and those together make for an absolute banger. I've been practicing this one ever since launch and actually got 9th worldwide on day 3. And have gotten very proficient at the main strats and can pull them off very consistently and save a lot of time on other racers. I've had some fun times practicing the harder strats as well too. They take so much time to learn and I'm not consistent at them at all, even though I spent quite a bit of time trying to get them down, but I don't really mind because this track is just so much fun to be on. The course really just has a deep bag and I'm here for it. The beginning cut, however, might be a little too powerful, but the risk versus reward factor makes it more interesting than other large cuts like the previously mentioned Dino Jungle one. And the shot can be used in a multitude of ways, like in the beginning cut or the ending one, although if you get a good respawn at the end, you can actually be rewarded and it's not bad at all. The course is also really fun in free roam. It has a bunch of cool places you can get to, including the big question block, which is a great lookout spot. So I'm putting this in low S tier. Overall, a very, very fun track to play. Alright, my number 3 pick is none other than Sky High Sundae. I did not realize how bad it is in 8 Deluxe until I played the new version. In 8 Deluxe, the physics are bad, the tech isn't fun, and the graphics are a little lacking. But in the Switch 2 version, it looks incredible, and the tech is awesome. It's very satisfying, you feel very fast while pulling the strats off, and the ending cut is so fire, it's literally the perfect ending cut. High risk, high reward right at the end of the race. Everyone goes for it, so it's very chaotic if the pack is tight, and it leads to memorable races. This track is just so fun to drive throughout the entire lap, and for all those reasons, it's getting its spot in S tier. Alright, at number 2, DK Pass is so peak. It makes full use of this game's mechanics to make it a huge upgrade and nice transition from its DS counterpart, and I love all these shortcuts. None of them are all that punishing to fail, but very rewarding to pull off. The cuts also have a good mix of being shroom and shroomless, and even the tree cut can be driven through with shrooms, making it not too OP for front running, but still very strong. Although I do think that the ending shroom cut is just a little bit too large, but that's the only thing I dislike about this track. Everything else hits different. I spent the most hours time trialing this one compared to all other tracks by a significant margin, and still have a bit to improve on, which is always nice. The skill ceiling for this track is extremely high. So for all those reasons, it's going to be getting an S tier, and the number 2 spot on this list. Alright, I'm sure you can already guess it because it's the only one I haven't mentioned yet, but here we go! Whistle Stop Summit. Now this one is a banger. Really, really cool looking, lots of places to explore in free roam, and all of its cuts are so satisfying to pull off, partially because of how difficult they are. I've had to put a lot of practice in, which is frustrating at first, but that just makes them even more rewarding if you get them right. You got the beginning rail thing that can save a bit of time and get you an item box, the charge jump cut, which feels really nice to get in a race since it can bring you up a lot of spots and let you smuggle some shrooms or power items up to a higher place. And you got the ending cut, where the shroomless method stays about the same amount of time as the shroom method, which is kinda wild. These shortcuts lead to the track having some really awesome and intense finishes. You can make the extremely difficult gauntlet of cuts to clutch up and be awesome and triumphant, or you could fail a cut and get target shocked over a gap, leading to heartbreak and despair, and yes, it is that serious. The train also doesn't get too in the way unlike some other tracks Calamari Desert, and you can actually drive on it and trick off of it, which is pretty fun, dare I say whimsical. Anyway, as previously stated, this track is getting the honor of the number 1 spot on this list. Excellent use of all the new tech in this game, and overall a great experience. So there you have it, all 30 tracks put into a tier list by yours truly. These are all my honest, subjective opinions, so if you disagree, feel free to leave a comment about why you disagree, and I'll read it and maybe I can get swayed. Everyone has different thoughts on these things, so I'd like to see what all your tier lists look like. Anyway, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like and subscribe because I spent a lot of time on this video, and if you want more like this, let me know or drop an idea for me to create. I'm always looking for more ideas. Alright, I'll see you all in the next one. Bye! By the way, this project took up like 75 gigabytes of storage on my PC. I kept having to go into the darkest depths of my file explorer and find things that I didn't need just so I could keep recording more stuff. I'm deleting all of it as soon as this video is rendered. It's gonna be so freeing.